Hello everybody, this is the What Do You Say podcast brought to you by Brita. We are talking to colleagues and external speakers about what they've got to say on topics like digital transformation, leadership, way of working, as well as industry and company news. In today's podcast, we focus on the topic stress as a currency. Why do we often equate stress and diligence today? Why do we formally battle over how much stress we have? How can we counteract this development? Personally for ourselves, also in the work context and as employers. I have invited two great guests. Amelie is a young journalist and newly minted author. In her book Generation Hope, she addresses various crises of our generation. Among other things, the topic of work and health. Kasia is a coach and has not only helped us BOLDies to find the balance between body, mind and soul, but also brings years of experience to the discussion.
Hi!
Hi everyone. Thanks for being here. Maybe just handing the word over to you, Amelie. May you just give a short introduction. Who are we talking to today?
Sure. My name is Amelie Marie Weber. I'm a Berlin-based journalist. I'm focusing on politics, social media, and young generations. And you already mentioned it. Recently, my first book got published, which is called Generation Hoffnung or Generation Hope. And there I describe the crises and problems that young people experience today and, how they can deal with them. And this obviously also includes the changing world of work.
That's very interesting. And congrats again on your book launch.
Thanks, yeah.
So, Kasia, maybe next to you.
Yes, I'm Kasia Ptaszyńska. As you mentioned, I'm coach, mentor, and systemic team coach. I'm also facilitator, trainer, talent advisor with over 25 years of experience working in various industries in large cross-functional international organizations. I'm working with both individual clients, but also with corporate clients, supporting them with their development journey. I'm a big fan of connecting all dots, meaning body, mind, and heart, because only that I believe we can achieve a success and feel happiness and fulfillment.
Very important topic, and I guess a big factor in this balance is also stress. Today, it seems like often stress and diligence are equated in our minds. Why do you think that is?
So I would probably take a step back and charm away the word stress for a moment, because I believe that we need to understand that stress is response to threat. And it used to be a physical threat. For example, when we spotted a lion hunting us, right, in the bushes and caves. But now it's more about social threat, mental threat. Stress is an integral part of everyday life and is inevitable in our life. But the good thing is that the right level of the stress is actually very positive and can motivate us to achieve our goals, to be better at something, to develop. So there is a positive side of stress in our life as well, because it helps us focus and achieve something. But at the same time, we need to remember that after this time of stress, we need a time for recovery. Our body, mind, and heart need a recovery time. So if you notice that the stress is chronic or ongoing, then there is a danger that we can go into the burnouts, for example. We can feel overwhelmed, too much pressure. We can start feeling irritable, unable to relax. We cannot manage. Our sleep can be affected. We can also over or undereat to manage the stress. So then you can see that there are some risks that if we don't manage chronic stress, it can impact our health. So when we think about work and how we cannot equal the stress of being hard worker and successful person, I would say that we need to acknowledge and spot when the stress is a motivator for us and when it is actually something which has a negative impact on us.
Amelie, as a head of social media of a big German media group, you have a clear understanding of social media and the target groups behind. Kasia just talked about the recovery phase, and we all know the feeling of, I have 10 minutes to spare, I will just go on my phone. What is the role of social media in the influence of public images of successful and stressed person in this context?
Well, let me take myself as an example. On my social media profiles like Instagram or LinkedIn, I share the exciting interviews I do, the cool conferences I go to, and the awards I win. I don't show when I'm bored in front of my laptop or when things go wrong, which obviously happens. No, in social media, we mainly showcase the beautiful aspects of our lives and also of our professional lives. And this can lead us to sometimes think that other people's jobs are always enjoyable and never boring. And my impression is that many young people have a hard time with job hunting because they are searching for the absolutely perfect job that should be fun 24/7 because they see that on social media and they think these jobs exist. However, the truth is that no job is enjoyable 24/7. So that is one part. And the other part is, yeah, of course, social media also plays a significant role in shaping the public image of this successful, stressed persona, because on social media platforms, success is often portrayed through achievements and glamorous lifestyles, which influences the public perceptions of success. So social media can definitely glamorize stress and overwork, which may affect how people handle stressful situations and how they see their own work life. And I think these images and the lifestyle that is shown there may inspire some while causing anxiety in others.
Do you think this kind of inspiration is different when speaking of the younger generation? Because we all know this discussions, all the younger people, they are getting lazier as we have been and so on. Do you think that this may be already a process of de-glorification of stress?
Interesting question. Yes and no. I think it depends on the bubble you live in. For example, here in Berlin, I have people who obviously really want to go do yoga in their lunch break or something, but others are hustling all the time and also show that on social media. So I think both exist.
I like it because it's about these bubbles that you said, because it's about culture, it's about environment that you live in, people that you are surrounded by, what you read, what you don't read, how you were raised.
Exactly. Also where you come from, like if you come from a working class household or not, for example.
Yes, exactly.
That's very interesting. Kasia, do you also see a generational difference in your work as a coach?
I would expand this thinking around exactly the bubbles and what is the approach to the stress and work. And as Amalia said, this picture of wonderful, great job when every step will be affirmated and said that it's perfect. Actually, it's not happening or have different stress factors. And in my opinion, it's more about acknowledgement that it's inevitable to be stressed, but how to channel this stress to the success, to the positive energy, and how to avoid the long-lasting stress at the same time. So you can manage a challenging situation for yourself. So funny enough, I have to say that from my experience, people can feel stressed when they find that their job is not perfect. They can feel stress when, for example, it is too much. They feel overwhelmed, but at the same time, they can also feel stress when they have too little to do. Job is, for example, boring and they don't see any challenges, and suddenly they might feel like, oh, I'm useless, or my job jeopardized, I can be fired. So we're addicted to stress, I would say sometimes, and then we are not taking a huge full benefit from recovery time. We don't know how to use it for our future benefits to build better outcome in the long-term run. We know that when we are under stress, we had this tunnel thinking because we are going into this mode fight or flight. So fast response, very focused. But in the long-term perspective, when you think of it, then we are not at our best if it comes to our cognitive abilities. So the outcome is better when we are not stressed all the time, right? When we can be more open and relaxed and build on others as well.
It's so interesting that you're saying that because I feel like I'm in exactly this period right now. I had lots of readings, maybe the most stressful time in my life, in my career, the last couple of days. And now I had a week with not so many appointments and stuff. And I feel so useless. And now I feel so unmotivated to do basically anything. And that showed me that I definitely had too much stress before. And now I feel like I have to find the balance again.
In your book, you are speaking about that balance, and in preparation for this podcast, because obviously your book is written in German, I've taken the freedom to translate one of the paragraphs from your book. So if it's okay for you, I would read it out now. And it is actually about right that part.
It's a world premiere, reading the book.
Yes. Somebody else reading from it, right?
Yeah.
So, work is not a pony farm, said Andrea Nahles, the head of German Federal Employment Agency, in a much-discussed interview. And yes, it is true. Work is not a pony farm, but nobody expects it to be. We are not interested in lazing around and riding ponies, but in flexibility, compatibility, and appreciation, simply in a different work ethic. Nala's statement illustrates the lack of will to imagine this changed world of work. But I would stay with the pony farm for a moment because my motto is, a good horse always jumps as high as it has to. I know that this saying has been worn out for a long time and may at first sound as a lack of motivation, but the opposite is the case. For me, it means that sometimes I make an extra effort to overcome particularly high hurdles, that I need perseverance and willpower to successfully overcome tricky obstacles, but that sometimes I can and must trot along relaxed. How stupid would a horse be if it always jumps 170 meters high, even though the obstacle only measures 60 centimeters? I have learned that no one can permanently give more than 100% all the time. So I give 120 when it counts and 80 when I can afford it. This tactic makes me productive, but not safe. Maybe I would have been a good show jumper. I'm convinced that everyone can find the right balance between ambition and mission to assess the obstacles correctly and set their own priorities.
Thank you. Yeah, right now, I'm not the perfect rider, but like horse riding is not, but I'm getting there again.
Especially that feeling shows now that you have done 120% for weeks now, and now it's the time to relax, to recover, right? And still you have need in you to be productive again.
Exactly. Didn't think that this would turn out like a therapy for me, this podcast interview.
It's a huge skill, actually, to be able to spot it and reflect on it, right? Because it's important to realize that I'm in this moment, how I can take the best out of it. And it's fine to be bored. It's fine to do nothing, which is not, let's say, normal for everyone. We all know how mindfulness is difficult for many people. Not thinking for 20 seconds, right? Or not worrying about something. Our brain is like a muscle, so we can train our brain to do various stuff. So I love, Maria, when you just spotted, yes, I feel it now. And the question then is, what would you like to do about this? How would you like to use this time?
And speaking of skills, what do you think, Kasia, can employers do to support our employees to learn this skill, also to recover and then be, on the other hand, productive in the daily business?
I think that it's especially about narratives, how we are talking about work and what we are rewarded for in our work. So if the whole system supports long hours, being exhausted and so on, probably we need to change the system. But it's very much about realizing that long-term stress doesn't serve anyone. Mm-hmm. And if we think about growth and development of the organization, then we need to create the space and environment when we have recovery time and we have good and bad days and seasons when we need to really focus and work hard, but then we are also okay to feel exhausted and have a break, right? With my clients, I often work on how to express that I need a time to rest. I think that we are just running in this hamster wheel all the time from one project to another without realizing that impact or the results are worse and worse because we are just exhausted. It doesn't serve to anyone. So it's about being loud about that, but also I believe that leaders have a very crucial role here to be a good role model, not sending emails, for example, after 10 p.m., good role modeling. So it's also about doing what we are saying. So if you are saying it's okay if you have a break or you have a flexible hours, don't expect someone to be in front of the computer all the time. Whatever we are saying, we have to do the same and reward the same. So what I would ask probably what is the model of success in the organization and promote the people who can balance the work and life.
Yeah, very, very interesting. That was great and valuable input from both of you. And I can take a lot away from this as an individual, but also as an employee, I have to say. And Brita actually also offers employees many services, as, for example, the Brita Academy with mindfulness and resilience training or a dedicated Brita Vital team. But I learned today that it's a lot starting with me and that we have to start the process of deglorifying stress, I think, from within and finding the right balance, right? So in our BOLD program, one of our members always ends with the famous last words. So I would maybe give both of you the chance to end this podcast with your famous last word on the topic of today.
Yeah, maybe we should also say that mental health is a very important topic for the young generation. And I think employers and employees can learn from that. Because many people tend to unfairly stereotype young individuals as lazy and overly focused on non-work activities like yoga. And I think this is not the case. In fact, studies show that young people are willing to work but prefer to work differently. Also because they learn from their parents' burnout generation, for example. And I understand that older generations may find the high expectations of younger colleagues bizarre, as they were just happy to have any job in their time. But in the end, the changes young people seek will benefit even those who currently criticize the lazy youth. And I'm convinced that young people can contribute to healthier, more balanced, and less stressful workplaces for all generations.
Thank you. And actually, that was one of my favorite parts in your book. So everyone of German language should definitely take a look at it, because I think this really was an eye-opener to say, use this generational difference for us and also for the older generations, because they will benefit from it, right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a translation into English.
I'll do my best. I'm working on it.
Any famous last words from your side?
Yeah, I would say one size doesn't fit all, which means that what works for me doesn't have to work for you. So it's also about learning more about yourself, because at the end, we all are in our driver's seat to drive our resilience and well-being. No one will do that for us. The better you know yourself, the better you can manage that as well. Because, for example, I love walking, but Amelia loves yoga, right? So and it works better for her. And this is one thing. And then another one, it's good to understand the stress factors, so then you can appropriately really address them instead of running around and looking for some fixing, which doesn't fix anything at the end. And another thought that I have, and that was what you mentioned at the beginning, body, mind, and heart. Don't let to work on these three pillars, because if you focus only on body, it's not enough. We need to think about emotional regulation, about our mind, relaxing techniques and so on, but also our body. So all this goes together.
Yes. So thank you, both of you, again for participating today. And yeah, stay healthy.
Thank you, Liv. Bye.
Bye.